everyone. Good afternoon. So excited to see so many faces in this room, many of which are women, and really excited for this next panel to talk about alternative ways to get funding. I think we all know that money is unfortunately the lifeblood of startup life. And we've got a great panel assembled here today to sort of address that topic. So really excited. Let's get started. So I'm here with Jessie Draper, founding partner at Halogen Ventures, Cahn, founder and CEO of iFundWomen, and Sarah Peluso, vice president at Silicon Valley Bank. So we've got the full spectrum of funding here. So we heard from our CEO panel to kick off the event. Fundraising is a grind. We also know the stats, right? That only 2% of traditional venture money goes to women-led companies. Let's explore the alternatives. But let's start by sort of level setting. And Jessie, I'll turn to you on this question around who should be raising traditional venture capital? How should we think about, what types of companies, what industry, what stage should they be at? Would love to sort of draw on your experience as an investor.
Well, Halogen funds female-founded consumer technology companies, and so there has to be a female in the founding team of 5. That said, we fund consumer all across the board. So there's everything from, we have some great healthcare companies, Naya Health, and then Carbon 38, who's in the room, Armoire, who's out there. I could plug all day, especially in a room of women. I think it's amazing that we have venture capital as an opportunity here, because if you have a dream, you can go build it by raising money. So I think a couple of the things that you need in order to get out there and be prepared, with your pitch would be a product that has, I always say there's 3 things. It's a product that has some kind of traction, whether that be customers or proof of some sort, because we do invest pre-product a little bit. Traction, and then just something different and unique and mind-blowing. Don't reinvent the wheel, start something new, build a Square or what have you. And so I think those are kind of 3 of the things that we look for, and we invest very early. So I think you could build a company, venture isn't right for every business, but in technology, there's a lot of different verticals you could come from. It's a big question to answer.
Yeah.
I also had a baby 4 weeks ago, so I feel a little like I'm on drugs. I don't do drugs.
You're doing great.
But I'm just going to throw that out there.
Some of them are legal. It's okay.
Well, we're so glad you joined us, Jessie, and really grateful you're taking time away from your family.
He doesn't do drugs.
I don't do drugs. But I imagine this is what it would feel like a little bit.
That's the adrenaline of being up here on stage. Karen, this is actually a great segue to you. So let's sort of dig into the alternatives a little bit more. iFundWomen is a crowdfunding platform. I'll let you give a little bit of context on exactly what you do. But sort of Jessie mentioned, if the criteria for venture is a product with some traction, tell us a little bit more about what you think the role of crowdfunding is in the ecosystem.
Yeah, so venture is an option for few entrepreneurs, right? And it's great to have more women in venture. Jessie, your fund is a couple years old, right? We're seeing a big change, which is fantastic, and we need to see more women at seed and early stage making the decisions on who gets funded for venture. But the reality is right now, only 2% of women's businesses are being venture funded. And in the United States alone, every single day, 1,100 new businesses are started by a woman. That's in this country alone. So that's 400,000 new businesses a year in the US alone, on top of the 11 million existing women-owned firms. And most of those companies will never be venture appropriate. And that is okay. But where there's a major gap with funding, with everyday entrepreneurs, is that first stage of funding for your proof of concept, your pilot, your prototype, or to go out to market. There's literally no way to get funding unless you ask Google. This is what Google tells you. If you search for how do you fund my startup, this is what the Google says. The first thing is take out a loan. The second thing is raise an equity round. And the third thing is max out your credit cards. Now, I don't know about you all. I don't care what your gender is. I think all of those things are the wrong move for the first very beginning stages of building your business. So iFundWomen is a crowdfunding platform for women-led startups and small businesses. Multi-gender co-founder teams are not only welcome, they're encouraged because the data says we perform better. And where we really fit is with 3 types of entrepreneurs, and I'll tell you what they are. The first type of entrepreneur that's great for iFundWomen is the entrepreneur that needs cash to finish her MVP or her pilot or her prototype or start it, right? So you're raising anywhere between $20,000 and $50,000, just enough to build a really ugly MVP and get it out there for humans to test, okay? So that's bucket number 1 of entrepreneurs. Bucket number 2 are entrepreneurs who have a product or service that's actually ready, and they're ready to go to market, and they want to go out and find their first customers. Crowdfunding is an amazing way to do that because not only are you pre-selling your product or your service and getting money for that, it's revenue, but you're also getting feedback from your first customers and you're building a relationship with your first customers. So it's incredibly powerful. We actually have a company that launched today their actual business. It's called The Coven. They're a co-working space, the only all-female co-working space in Minneapolis. 4 female co-founders. They had their space, and they've been building it out. It's beautiful. And they used iFundWomen to pre-sell memberships, annual memberships to their space. They sold 150 memberships at $1,800 a pop. They've raised over $315,000 in cash through our platform in 7 weeks. So that's an amazing, yes, holla for The Coven.
Yeah.
And so that's the use case number 2. So that's pre-selling your product or service. Use case number 3 is funding a pivot or a reformulation of your product. So lots of us who are in the hustle, it takes years to figure out, your product in a lot of cases, and you want to pivot, you want to, think about it and redo some things.
And I think you're always perfecting it too.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so iFundWomen is a great place, again, to raise cash to fund a pivot. So we're really excited. We're just getting started. We're a 1-year-old startup ourselves, so we're very humbly excited about the traction. And we really, at the end of the day, there's a complete white space for this type of funding mechanism, and we're excited to be the one to fill it.
Yeah.
When you raise that money, you go put it in a bank account with this one right here.
Yes.
Fantastic. So tell us a little bit more about some of the other options that you guys offer at SVB or that banks in general will offer to companies in terms of funding. So whether it's venture debt, credit lines,
Sure.
How does it work? Where do companies typically need to be at in terms of stage, and how much are they typically looking to raise from you?
Yeah, so SVB actually does have a direct investment arm, so we do equity investments. We typically will lead and price a series of B or C. And the nice part about us is that we won't take a board seat. But what we're really known for is probably our what we call venture debt. And so venture debt is a very early stage lending product for companies strictly in tech for our world that have just raised a Series A. Sometimes will come in at a price seed round, but that kind of has to be from a really, really meaningful institutional venture capital investor. And so the wonderful thing about debt is that we, it's a very cheap, non-dilutive facility. It's very flexible. You can use it towards kind of whatever you want. If that's sales and marketing, if that's a rainy day facility for you guys. And we probably, compared to equity, it's much cheaper. So it lowers that overall blended cost of capital. In terms of when you should start having the conversation about debt, I would say once you raise your first seed round, probably $500K or higher, come talk to one of us at SVB, open up your account. I think in addition to debt, get off your personal card. No more Amex, no more, the points are wonderful, but you don't want it to affect your credit score. So get a company card. Again, that's another source of capital that's not debt or equity, but, and then start having the conversation. Debt will typically be driven by your board. If it's not though, bring it up. Talk about it. It's a really, really good product. It's very founder friendly. And oftentimes your VC will love it as well.
Your VC likes it, I can attest.
Yeah.
We don't get diluted and, you get to sort of continue to build the business.
Jesse loves it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love SVB. Yeah, just throw it to me.
I didn't pay her, I promise.
I like having a resident venture debt expert, though, because I feel like it's one of the things people always ask about when funding, because they don't know what to do. Something else that I realized now that I'm remembering you wanted me to talk about, that I just spaced it on for a second, is you wanted to talk about angel funding.
Yeah.
And, we play very, very early. Halogen plays very early and often invests in a friends and family round, a pre-seed round. And right now, I wanted to mention just some of the trends that I'm seeing, especially when it comes to female-founded companies. And I don't know, to be brutally honest, I don't know if it's because we're trying to get, fashion products or breast pumps or what have you across the table, on Sand Hill Road to companies that, are primarily male-dominated, which I love. My dad's actually here right now, which is he's a man. I love men. And Jamie's amazing. I love that you do this event every year. Thank you so much for supporting women in so many ways, because we need male investors. As she's saying, only 2% of women are getting that venture funding, and I think it's such an important thing. When it comes to angel funding, I'm seeing a lot of my companies reach out and say, you know what? I'm striking out on Sand Hill Road right now because they just don't get it. They don't understand the breast pump. They don't understand, what may it be. I would like to be plugged into the family offices much more. And so I encourage more of you incredible traditional VCs to take a second look and really educate yourself about these products that are focused towards women, especially in healthcare. But angel investing, I think, is a fantastic option, especially if you get a great strategic angel investor early on. They can help plug you in. I depend on angels often to send me great deals so that I can find them as early as is humanly possible. But no, I think you need angels, especially in those early days. Those are the ones that kind of bring attention to it. I think it's good when you see a company that has a couple of angel investors that's raised a friends and family round, you pay more attention because people have bet on these guys.
Yeah.
And so I think that is something that I definitely look for.
And Jesse, what do you think about companies that are raising crowdfunding, right? Who are then coming to you either as an angel investor or an early seed investor?
I love crowdfunding. Naya Health, our breast pump company, has had many successful crowdfunding campaigns.
Yeah.
They just launched their new smart bottle, and they did that. They launched it and tested the audience. It's a great way to test the audience.
Absolutely.
It's not for everybody. You want to make sure that you have a product that's interesting, that's often visual, and or not. I mean, I think you just have to be very creative about how you present whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a lot of fashion companies strike out on crowdfunded campaigns because it's just sort of a busy space, and so you want to make sure that you have something unique and different.
Well, so just piggybacking off of that, so iFundWomen, we built our platform to combat that. So, the big platforms for crowdfunding, the products typically that get funded there are consumer products and 94% of the highest grossing Kickstarters, let's just call it what it is, are from male creators in the gaming, film, and tech gadget space.
Yeah.
Okay? So we built iFundWomen specifically for B2B. B2B is the most successful on iFundWomen, and you don't have to have a consumer product to crowdfund successfully. You just have to be able to sell your product or service and your dream to people and get them to trust you enough to give you some cash to help you out. So you're raising small increments of money from lots of people that you know to add up to just enough to get you going, right? And so we have a whole coaching program at iFundWomen. It's free. And we basically have created this whole suite of tools and this proprietary IP that literally teaches women over the course of 4 weeks how to crowdfund. We have a P&L for them. We create one. We also have a video production studio because it matters. The branding on your page, your video, your messaging, all of that matters. And when you're left to your own devices and no one tells you how to do it, failure rate is very high. Our success rate is much, much higher on iFundWomen. Granted, we're just starting, but it's so important.
What is really unique about your platform, right? That you're not just sort of letting women, sort of onto the platform into the wild without providing that support, because that's probably, as you've seen as an angel investor, a lot of the support that you will get from your early investors. So I think it's a really unique component to what you've built. So unfortunate.
Add one
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I would
Sarah,
just
go for
add,
it.
so we need more women being, funded.
Yeah.
We need more women doing the funding.
Yeah.
But also, I don't think we can ignore all of the women that are also getting funded right now. Like, I can think off the top of my head, just in LA, of 5 women. Carbon 38 is in the room. She's one of the women who just recently gotten funded. Like, we're also doing shit. So I think we also should focus on that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the good news is there's a lot of ways in which we can raise capital to grow our businesses. So thank you all so much for joining us.
Thank
This
you.
has been fantastic.